I wanted to tell a story that can really impact lives. That if I was watching movies like this, like I know we would be talking about it way more than we would when I grew up.
Welcome to Midland Money Mindset, your weekly dose of inspiration and insights to ensure you enjoy each step of your journey. Whether you're saving for the future, planning your next big adventure, or simply looking to add more joy to your life, you've come to the right place. Now, let's dive in.
Behind every dream, there's a struggle we rarely see. The doubts, the losses, the moments that test our purpose. For filmmaker and former collegiate athlete Jake Miskin, that struggle inspired Shattered Ice, a powerful, independent film born from both heartbreak and hope. As the founder of Nehoyden Street Films, Jake turned real-life tragedy into a movement to break the silence around mental health in sports. In this episode of the Midland Money Mindset, Jake shares how storytelling can heal, connect, and remind us that even in our toughest moments, purpose can be found on the other side of pain. I'm Larry Sprung, your host for the Midland Money Mindset and founder and wealth advisor of Midland Financial. Let's dive into the show. Well, I am super excited today to have Jake Miskin, founder of Nehoyden Street Films, and we're going to talk a lot about his film, Shattered Ice. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Thank you. I'm excited. This is awesome and a long time coming.
Yeah, I appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about you and the film. But before we talk about the film, right, I think people are always interested in the entrepreneurial journey because it takes such a windy path for many and a different path. So if you could share a little bit about your background up until the point of founding Nehoyden Street Films and the film Shattered Ice, we'll talk a lot about that for the remainder of the show. But what was your path up until that point?
Yeah, so I went to school at Springfield College. I studied sport management. I played soccer there. I always wanted to be in sports. Every kid in the Boston area wants to be the GM of the Red Sox. That was my goal. And Springfield College offered an incredible program. And so I was really more business oriented, more on the sports side, event programming, sales to operations. And then when I really started to fall in love with character building and storytelling, basically my brain shifted from the sports to film and was able to really combined all my passions into one in the creation of Nehoyden Street Films. And I worked from 47, the team store at Fenway, to the LA Galaxy. So really getting to experience in the Needham Memorial Day soccer tournament, which is one of the largest soccer tournaments in the nation, and really bring my expertise of what I was learning from the events on that side into actually the production side of creating a film and all of that. So,
yeah. So, was there any entrepreneurial influences that you had along the way, or was this something that just kind of came over time for you?
It came over time. I always knew I wasn't a 9-to-5 type of guy that wanted to go and, sit at the office and check in and check out. I always loved creating my own schedule, my own meetings, working different hours. And it finally hit me when I moved out to California to pursue this, that I had that thing in me that I wanted to do something on my own and create something on my own.
Sure. So let's talk about the most recent film, Shattered Ice, right?
Yep.
Before I ask you a couple of things around that, can you share with our listeners just a high-level overview? What is the film about?
Yeah, so Shattered Ice is a high school hockey sports drama that deals with the impact of losing someone to suicide in high school. And it takes you through the journey of the main character, Will Mankus, and the ups and downs that you go through from a suicide survivor side. And, the questions that are brought up, the conversations that you're trying to have or don't know how to have, but then also engaging in the sport of hockey and the world of sports, and how sport can be such a great driving vehicle in storytelling and bringing larger communities to a subject that is still stigmatized to this day, more normalizing feeling to it. And the more conversations that we have, the better.
Yeah. I mean, you said it yourself, right? This is probably not a topic that gets written about, is in film a lot at all. It's still a topic that's stigmatized. And most people who listen to the show know that I work tirelessly in the area of mental health because of the loss of my brother-in-law. And it's something that has been very meaningful to me and my family. And we've, worked tirelessly to break that stigma as much as possible. So that brings me to, why did you work so hard to make Shattered Ice a reality? What was the why for you there?
So this was by the time we got in production and by the time we had our world premiere, it was 12 years in the making. And the story is fictional, but it's deep meaning to my own experiences during high school, where we lost multiple students to suicide within my 4 years there. And so mental health has always been part of my own life's journey, but my community journey too in my hometown. And so I always wanted to tell a story about the conversations that our community were trying to have afterwards, and how there's inspiration and hope that can happen even through the worst of tragedies. And really, that was the driving force to continuously knowing that I wanted to tell a story that can really impact lives and change people's lives. That, if I was watching movies like this, like, I know we would be talking about it way more growing up than we would when I grew up.
Right. Listen, you've seen this and lived this journey for 12 years from beginning to end, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the conversations, even though this film wasn't there necessarily when you probably could have used it most in those high school years, right? It's here now, and you've lived over the last 12 years in an environment that I think arguably has changed. I mean, have you seen the stigma and the conversations around that changed even, significantly during the 12 years of making the film before it was even released?
Absolutely. 12 years ago is when I started to talk about what I wanted to tell. It was, don't use the word suicide in anything that you're talking about when you're trying to create a movie or try to get people on board. And now with athletes more and more coming out and telling their own stories, and the Player Tribune really does a great job of highlighting players' stories, and more professional sports teams are having mental health nights to highlight, their local organizations and the services that they're doing. It was all about timing with this movie, that the more actually I spoke about suicide and spoke about the mission behind the message in the film and using sport as that vehicle, more and more people start to actually talk about their own personal history and their own community,
Right.
and things that they never really wanted to talk about before, but felt comfortable enough to bring it up in our conversations, because it was a unique way to start a conversation in film and in storytelling. And now we had an event in October in Boston that had the Boston Bruins Foundation involved and the Boston Bruins. And that was an incredible experience, and having Bauer Hockey involved. So it's becoming more of a platform, but it's finding different unique ways to really bring different communities together.
Yeah. And probably those things that you've hosted and been involved with over the last couple of months, those would not have happened, 12 years ago. So
Yeah.
Kudos to you for, helping even raise further awareness, shed more light on this topic. I watched the film. I thought it was a great film in terms of the messaging and opening up those conversations as a result. At the end of the day, you created this film for a lot of different reasons, it sounds like. But at the end of the day, those people that are listening to our show today that may not have exposure to or heard of Shattered Ice, what do you hope that they will take away after they leave here listening to us today and then go ahead and hopefully watch the film afterwards? What do you hope they take away from watching it?
I mean, our hope is that, yes, it is from a best friend's point of view, the storyline, but it hits every level, from age group to parents to siblings to grandparents, that there's different perspectives of losing someone to suicide and the conversations that you're trying to have, that bringing entertainment to that world is an easier way to relate to a character on screen. And hopefully by relating to one of the characters on screen is that you start to have the conversation afterwards. And it's the three boxes we've always wanted to check off with this movie is bringing together filmmaking and storytelling to the sports world and the mental health communities around us. And hopefully by enjoying a film, by just going to the movie theater and supporting independent films, to starting the conversation with your local communities, and then really bringing athlete mental health to the forefront.
Well, it looks like you're checking on all those boxes from what I've seen thus far. So keep doing what you're doing and keep working in that direction. It's been quite engaging to watch the success. So, speaking about the characters that you have, because you've mentioned them, a couple of times, the importance of them. How did you end up securing Jack Falahy, to play the role of Dave Dunn in Shattered Ice?
Yeah, so we had an incredible casting director, Arlie Day and Mike Page, and from Day and Page Casting. And when we were going through each character and the coach came up, Arlie was saying, I know exactly who we can reach out to. And we sent the script to Jack and his people. And without even knowing, he responded to the script right away. And he reached out to us and said he actually lost his best friend to suicide in high school. And that's how he actually got into the acting world. And that was something not just with Jack, but each actor came to myself or the director, Alex, and was saying, hey, I really resonate with this story or this character because of something in their own personal life, whether or not it was themselves, a family member, a friend, or someone from their community. That was the coolest part. Unfortunate, but really cool that, hey, mental health hits everyone. And the fact that Jack came on board so quickly and wanted to tell the story is exactly what we want with filmmaking in a movie like this.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, if you have characters that have a personal affiliation and are part of their personal mission is telling these stories and it's something that they can identify with, I think it just comes through much more. And I think you can definitely tell that within your film that there's this almost like affiliation and kind of like pride as they're telling this story on the screen. And it definitely resonates. And I did not know that there was such a connection with almost all the characters, but now that makes a tremendous amount of sense for sure. Speaking of the coach, Coach Dunn, and I don't want to ruin this for people. I want them to go out and see the film, but now this kind of makes sense also based upon what you said, how he lost a good friend to suicide. There's a part in the movie where he reveals his own vulnerability as a coach to his players. And it was kind of a surprise to me. And at the same time, I feel like as a non-filmmaker and just a novice, I felt like at the same time, it brought the whole film together. Can you describe this scene a little bit and why it was so crucial to the movie?
Yeah, without any spoilers, obviously.
Well, we'll try to do the best we can, but
yeah, it was important that a scene like this was powerful in itself, what was happening in the scene, but it was to show that you don't know what someone else is going through at all. And until you talk about it yourself with someone else and be vulnerable with your own self to tell your own story, no one else is going to know that you're going through that and that you're relating to it. Even though you can see someone else struggling, they don't know that you also struggled or can relate to it unless if you say something yourself about your own story. So that was the meaning of that scene. And I think that came out incredible. Charlie had such an incredible scene during that and everyone involved. But having someone with a statue like Coach, who people look up to, not even the community, but also as the team, and especially in high school and young adolescents, like that shows progress and speaking out and finding your own voice and sharing it.
Right.
And that's what coaches are supposed to do. We felt it important that was the character on scene revealing that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that they're somebody that people respect, especially young folks, and they look up to. And people feel if coach could say that or do that, and or he can come out and talk about that, then I should be able to do that too. So
Yeah.
that scene was amazing. I encourage everybody to go out, make sure you see the film, and you'll see the impact that we're talking about during that scene. Do you know finances can be joyful with your partner? We created a fantastic guide for couples to start their journey surrounding their finances. Head over to Midland.us/couplesjoy to download your free copy today. Don't miss out. Start bringing more joy into your financial conversations. Now, one of the things, Jake, on your journey to raise the profile of Shattered Ice, how did you get some really iconic brands, especially on the hockey side, right? Like Bauer, who we've had, by the way. Mary Kay Messier was on our show. She was in year 2. She was episode number 56. We love what she does at Bauer, and she's a friend of the show. So we're excited that they're involved with it. You also have brands like 47 that are involved. How did you get these brands involved to help you and the film get the message out?
Yeah, it was a lot of cold emails, knocking on doors, but also a lot of community help. Telling this story and just keep reaching out to people and them connecting to other people. David Nechtow, the founder of Pure Hockey, really resonated with the movie, and his support introduced me to the Bauer team. And that's when Mary Kay and I started to build a relationship, and they came in and wanted to support the film and bringing in all the equipment for all the hockey players and all the scenes, that we would have the equipment to do it with. And from her own personal stories and her own family, and Bauer's mission going forward is that they want to be obviously supporting players on the ice, but supporting players off the ice and giving them a platform to really be vulnerable. And getting 47 on brand we've always wanted to create a world behind this movie. And the fictional town in the movie is Nowhoiden, and the high school team is the Nowhoiden Black Bears. And I approached 47 with an idea of, hey, would you want to be part of this movie and this mission that we're doing in the world that we're building? And they created all the hats, the winter hats, and the sweatshirts and the T-shirts that kids in high school would wear, the hockey players would wear. And they wanted to help us build that universe. So getting 47 on, getting Pure Hockey involved, getting Bauer involved, just elevated not even the legitimacy of the movie, but also the community behind it, which I can't tell you enough throughout the 12 years of the community that this movie has built, and the people that brought it to life and taken it to the next pillar up, just brought it to those brands. And now they're just bringing it up even further to the next stature. So we're excited what can come of it. And these brands are still involved and want to make sure that this movie gets out there. And we have some really cool and unique ways that we're going to make happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's good to see them so community minded. I find that the mental health community, whenever you're talking about mental health and suicide, it's very tight knit and very willing to help and engage and support. So that's great to hear that brands like Bauer and 47 are no different and willing to lend a hand and support where they can. So, I'm going to take a pivot for a second, and because I'm sure there are other people out there that have thought, and haven't thought about doing it, but I always wondered, right? It's a huge undertaking. I mean, you invested 12 years of your life on this independent film, and I don't know if this is normal or not, but, we've heard of independent film festivals and things like that. But I really don't know the answer to this, and I'm curious, what does it really take for those people who might be listening who have seen an independent film and really loved it, or even seen this film, right? What does it take to get an independent film made and out into the world? What does that look like?
Yeah. Getting a movie made is one of the hardest things to get done, from creating a team from the cast to getting a director on board to raising the finances to finding locations to getting through all the wardrobe to all the paperwork and talking with the unions and finding out the budget and the day-to-day operations and planning that out all beforehand so that you have 18 days of filming to get everything in, from everything on the script to even post production, every day cutting and getting the editor on board and going through a year's process of making sure that this is right, but also staying on time to make everything else happen, to the visual effects, to the sound mixing, to the music licensing. It's something that every day you're not taking your mind off of it, and you're aiming for the next step, and you're finding the new ways. You're coming up with creative ways to get things done. This movie was not cookie cutter whatsoever. It was every day there was a new obstacle, 5 obstacles in one day, to trying to figure out answers for them. But every movie is different. Every movie has its own story. 12 years just happened to be this film story. But I've heard, independent films getting made within a year or 2 years. And it's all about the timing. It's all about the influence that you have behind it, the drive that you have behind it, because it is a team. And like every coach says, you need every player on the field or on the ice or on the court to do their job to make it happen. You're relying on hundreds of people to do their job to get these words on screen, and you need to trust everyone that they're going to do it and do it to the best of their ability. And that's no easy job to do. And a lot of independent films fall right through right before filming and or after filming. And a lot of independent films, you never see the light of day. And luckily we have made it all the way through. We've gone to 5 film festivals. We've won 7 awards. So it's a journey that I can't wait to do again. Now knowing every single little aspect that goes into it. But I'm just excited that we finally got a movie to get a world premiere at the Sedona International Film Festival and take home the most impactful film award. So
great stuff. I mean, it sounds like being an independent filmmaker is almost like the ultimate team sport, because you need so many people on the team and pulling and rowing in the right direction and getting things done. And one thing I noticed you didn't say, which I'll say for you, is one thing that Jake didn't mention is it takes money too. There's a lot of financial obligations there, which I want to share with people because they follow our involvement with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and might talk about the Keith Milano Memorial Fund. We were able to, and we were very happy and pleased that we were able to make a $10,000 donation or contribution, I should say, from the Keith Milano Memorial Fund in the efforts to get this film out in the world. And we were excited that we were able to do that. So I'm encouraging everybody, if you've ever been a supporter or thinking about being a supporter of the Keith Milano Memorial Fund, make sure you get out and see this film, because these are the types of things and initiatives that we want to support and help create that conversation.
Yes.
And talking about conversation, with more and more professional athletes, as you mentioned earlier, talking about mental health, I think going back to like the baseline of the movie, high school based, how do you think we can get youth athletes or young athletes to work on, the mindset part of their game, which is so vitally important, probably just as important as going to the gym and working out. And, now we're getting people to talk about it. How do we get these young people to start working on that mindset on a regular basis as well?
Yeah, it's talking about it more. And it's my, Springfield College motto is spirit, mind, body, is that you need to focus on all 3 to really balance your level playing field while you're playing. You can't just focus on your physical health. You need to talk about your struggles. Nobody's perfect on the field. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to not play in a game. You're going to lose a game for your team. But it's all about creating a community support. And that's with the team culture. And that's starting with the coach. And that's even starting with the captains and the leaders on the team, and making sure that locker room is vulnerable, that those conversations are happening on the field, but also off the field, most importantly, and that you're continuously to talk about it, and getting more sports psychologists into youth sports and in these town youth sports and these club sports that parents are paying for. It's, that's one of the first questions you should ask a program is, hey, how are you dealing with your players' mental health on and off the field? And are you supporting that? Because it's these athletes now starting at a lot younger age, they're going into, that professional career of nonstop, going to 5 practices a week or 7 practices a week, sometimes doing 2 different teams, or is how are you going to focus on your own mental health? Sport is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it's over time.
Sure.
And you need to keep your mind healthy or you're going to get burnt out.
So I think that kind of answers, and we talked about how kids or the youth athletes should think about their mental health and their mindset, right? Now let's flip it to the other side of the equation for a moment. For parents who are listening, right? What message do you want to deliver to them about their teens and mental health? What do you want to say to them? Like how can they help that as a parent?
Be supportive and listen to your kids. Instead of saying what went on in the game, ask them how you feel about the game and just let them talk about it. And ask them, are you okay after a game, whether or not it's a win or a loss? How do you feel about it in a general sense, not even specifics or bringing up what happened in the game? Just be there and knowing I'm here to support you, whether or not you had a challenging game or you had an incredible game. You're there on both sides because, as you know, and any athlete will ever tell you, no one is 100% at any time in their career, and there's going to be ups and downs. And as long as that parent is there to support, even in the worst times, struggling times, and you're there just to listen and to take in what they need to vent about or be okay, is that you have a room that you can do that. And that you can sit in the car ride home and just listen to him talk about it or her talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think if you, one of my takeaways from the movie, and I think others may see this as well, is there are some definite instances of shown of what not to do as a parent in the film. So you could take some cues, maybe do the opposite of some of the stuff you see. But I think that's great insight as a parent to, help your kids and create that environment. So if they want to talk, when they want to talk, whenever that is, that they're ready and they know you're just there to listen and not judge. And I think those are so important. So yeah. Listen, Jake, I appreciate you coming on. The movie was fantastic, brought me a lot of joy, and we like talking about joy on this show. We are the Midland Money Mindset. And the last question we ask each of our guests, and everybody's waiting to hear the answer because everybody's different. So the question for you today is, what did you do today that brought you joy and put you in the right mindset for success?
Well, today I get to coach high school soccer team that we're just about to enter the state tournament up here in Massachusetts. So that is the one thing that gets to bring me joy today, is to go out onto that field and be with the players and get ready for the state tournament.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a good way to spend the day. I appreciate you sharing that. And listen, we're going to have all of your information, all the information for the film in the show notes. But if people want to learn more about the film, know where they can go see it, learn more about you, learn more about Nahodin, what's the easiest and the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so you can follow us at Shattered Ice Film on Instagram. On Facebook, we're at Official Shattered Ice the Movie. And then our website is officialshattered.com. And right now we're in the middle of our social impact campaign, and we're excited to find a community that we can bring the 3 boxes together: mental health communities, the athletic world, and filmmaking. So please reach out if you want to bring Shattered Ice to your community and have an incredible, powerful, but entertaining night.
Love it. Well, listen, Jake, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule with the film and everything you're doing around it and the upcoming state soccer tournament. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was incredible.
Jake, thank you for sharing your heart and your mission with us. Shattered Ice is more than a film. It's a call to open up, to talk about what really matters, and to remind each other that healing starts with honesty. Your story shows that even the deepest pain can lead to purpose, and that's what living with the right mindset is all about. Jake Miskin and Shattered Ice by Nehoyden Street Films can be found across most social media platforms. All the contact information needed to find them can be found in the show notes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Midland Money Mindset. Remember, it's not just about the money, it's finding joy in the journey and embracing the right mindset. If you love the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Don't forget to follow along for more tips and inspiration. Please visit the social links below to connect with Larry or his guests. Until next time, keep smiling, keep thriving, and remember to think about, what did you do today that brought you joy?
The opinions voiced in the Midland Money Mindset Show with Lawrence Sprung are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy ensures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Guests on the Midland Money Mindset Show are not affiliated with CWM LLC.